Well, welcome to the show. This is your radio host, Richard Dover. We are glad to be on the air tonight. Our show is called There is Hope Radio. We believe there is hope. We have a special guest that's going to share how God has worked in his own life and did some amazing things in his life as he cooperated with God's working in his life. But before we do that, we should tell you a little bit about our show. We're on from 7:30 to 8 o'clock every single Saturday night. And we talk about a variety of different topics. We have guests that come on. And what we're really trying to do is let people know there is hope and that you can change your life and let you know that God can work in your life. And our guest has an amazing story. I've known our guest for many years, and I'm so excited to have him on the air. And I want you to listen in because this is going to be an amazing story that you hear. If you're having a hard time hearing us on your radio, you always can go to KGNW.com. That's KGNW.com and click on the Listen Live link, and you'll get real good reception. So I want to introduce our guest. He is Al FOXX, and he's with the organization called Winners Don't Quit. Hi, Al.
Hello, Rich. How are you?
I'm doing good. It's been a long time since we got to do something like this, isn't it?
It's been a long time.
So what I want to do is right off the bat, I have to let our guests know that Al has a little bit of an accent, and you'll understand why he has an accent when we get into his story. So, Al, the first thing I got to ask you, when you talk, you have an accent, and I've never been able to figure out what accent that is. Can you tell me what it is?
You should have asked a long time.
I should have. If I wondered, why didn't I ask?
Yeah, it's a Harborview Hospital accent.
Harborview Hospital accent. And people are going to know why in a moment. But no, Al, you got me going because you said I should have just asked. And that's part, I'm going to jump way ahead because next week we're going to have Al talking about some of the speaking engagements he does. But you talk about, one of the things about disability awareness is if somebody sees somebody that has a disability, you've said in the midst of the talk, it says instead of staring at him and wondering what happened, is to say to him, by the way, I noticed that you're limping and your arm doesn't work. You might tell them your story, right?
Exactly. People are with a disease, it's like there's no such thing as a disabled person. It's called a person with disabilities. They're a person first.
Right, right.
And they just happen to have a disability. Talk to them if you wonder about them.
Yeah, exactly. But we're jumping way ahead. We should get to your story. So, Al's partially paralyzed on the left side. If you notice that his voice is a little bit different as he talks. If you've seen him, he limps a little bit. And all this happened from a brain injury. And Al, how that happened? What kind of brain injury did you have?
Well, a week before I turned 19, I was on my way to a concert. And bam! A truck pulled out in front of me, and I ran into him. I never even saw him.
And you were driving a car? What was you driving?
I was on a motorcycle. Yeah.
It's probably worse than a motorcycle.
A little bit, yeah.
So you're in this motorcycle crash, and obviously they hauled you to the hospital.
Yeah.
What went on there? I mean, you just came in and said hi to him when you rolled in, or what?
Well, I didn't say hi to him for over a month. I was... Excuse me. I was in a coma for a little over a month.
Okay, and when you're in a coma, and then you wake up from the coma, what took place? What's the first words you hear from one of the doctors there?
Well, I came out of the coma so gradually that it was another couple months before I was aware where I was.
Oh, really? Okay.
And so I finally asked, I wanted to see Harborview Hospital's chief neurosurgeon. Because I was eager to get up and get going. I felt good. I just couldn't move. So I said, when can I get up and get out of here? He told me, Al, you'll never walk without assistance. You'll never talk understandably. You'll never drive legally.
So that probably made you really excited at 19 years old.
Freak. That was my life. I was a high-top roofer. How could I roof if I couldn't walk or talk or drive or anything? Every 19-year-old wants to do those things. Every single 19-year-old I've ever seen or met or heard about wants to talk and walk and drive.
I happen to be 60. I kind of like to walk and talk and drive too.
There you go.
So in the midst of that, there had to be discouragement, depression. There had to be frustration. Was all those things going on in your mind?
Oh, the anger, the resentment, the self-pity, the fear. Oh, the fear was huge. How am I going to live with this disability? How am I going to do it?
Especially at 19.
Oh, yeah.
Because you hadn't experienced really in life. I mean, you had life for 20, 30 years. You learn how to cope with life. You deal with all kinds of things. But at 19, this is not something a 19-year-old's prepared to go through.
Not at all. I was like a baby.
So in the midst of this, somebody he drove a truck and ran through a stoplight, right, or a stop sign.
Well, see, there were all kinds of vans and cars and stuff parked on the side of the road because of a high school baseball game. I was driving by the high school and this guy pulled out, bam! So it really wasn't his fault. And I was high at the time.
Okay.
But it really wasn't my fault either. It's just
an accident. Okay, so in the midst of that, was there bitterness, resentment that you want to kill that guy? Or
yeah, for a while. But after a few years, a few decades, I finally realized, you know, I'm hurting myself. It's like giving poison to somebody else and or it's like drinking poison yourself and hoping somebody else dies.
And in the midst of that, what gave you the ability to forgive? I mean, you realized that it wasn't helping you any, but how was you able to finally let that go? And part of it is, I know your story now, so really you shouldn't have too much anger because you've been actually blessed in the midst of all this, but how did you learn to be able just to let that go?
Well, one of the key factors was learning to accept my situation as it was, and the way that I learned to accept it for what it was I learned to focus more energy on what I had than what I didn't have.
And you had more than you didn't have.
Everybody has more than they don't have.
Okay.
But if you start focusing on what you don't have, it begins to look like you don't have much of anything.
And you know how that I work with people with addictions, and that's the biggest struggle of dealing with is because they look at what they lost, and all they can focus on what they lost, not realizing that God can turn things around, and not realizing, because nobody knows at the time, that many of those regrets and resentments and all that stuff, that God can turn those things around, and it can be a benefit and asset. And it's been a benefit and asset to you.
Yeah. It's like, about you bringing that up, I just had my 10-year birthday in AA.
Well, very good, very good. So we're going to have to go to a break, but I want to bring up Al's website. It's called winnersdon'tquit.org. It's .com. So it's winnersdon'tquit.com. So go to his website. He has his book there. There's a book called No Limits and a book called Achieving No Limits. So he has two different books. And we're never going to get to all your story. We're going to go ahead and get to our break. And when we come back, I want to talk about what you're doing now. I want us to bring up a guy who's told he can't walk, talk, or drive, what happened in his life. We'll be back in just a moment. And now I'm going to say, and now you're paid to do that. So then we'll talk a little bit about you being a professional speaker. Well, welcome back to about right around 2 minutes before the show ends, so we'll have to get it real tight.
It's good so far. It's been good.
Yeah, it's been
it's been really good. Yep. Yeah. The two of you are very good together.
I look at Rachel when I'm talking, and Rachel looks a little bit scared like I'm going off on the wrong path or something.
I thought, oh no, here we go.
Oh, so far so good. Yeah. I know.
I said, all I have to do is wait for him to take a breath. I can jump in as soon as he takes a breath. Sometime.
You know.
He has to breathe sometime.
Yes,
for the big lungs.
No, you do. This is really good, Rich.
Huh?
That you do this. This is wonderful.
I have to tell you, this is I should do this for a living.
It's a natural.
It's a natural. It is. It's a natural. My voice is a natural for it, and it's the easiest thing I ever have to do. I don't have to do any preparation, really. Nothing. I mean, when I was doing the hour show,